Hi there. If you're of a certain age and you've wondered if you might be on the autism spectrum, or if you know someone of a certain age that you think may be on the spectrum, please stay with me as we delve into what it was like for my diagnosis in my 60s. Hi, I'm Randy. I'm the Autistic Grandpa, and this series of videos is simply to take you on my journey and to see if if it fits you anyway or if it helps you at all. And so the previous video was about how I got diagnosed in my 60s. And today I'm going to talk about my top traits of being that led to my diagnosis. I talked in my last video about the fact that I had always thought of the spectrum as being 0 to 100, and 0 not having it and 100 is the worst case scenario. But in my research, I've come to realize that the spectrum is more like a circle with bumps on it, and these bumps can be big or not at all, and depending on, everybody's different on the spectrum, and we all have strengths, we all have weaknesses, we have the things that are traits and the things that aren't traits. And I just wanted to tell you my things that are traits, and I'm not trying to diagnose anybody. I'm not an expert. I don't know how to diagnose. All I'm doing is presenting my journey, and hopefully it'll help you if you decide to go down that journey also. So I'm giving you my top 7 traits that Randy, the Autistic Grandpa, has. The number 1 trait is masking. Now the name is, once you know what it means, it's pretty obvious that I was like wearing a mask. All through my life, I've tried to be what I thought society expected of me. So I rarely did what I wanted to do around other people, but I just pretended that I belonged with them. I think the most obvious example to me is thinking about all my years in business, that I was great at performing, but it wasn't the real me. An example is at conferences and such, I would be in my hotel room, just anxiety about going to the meetings, pacing back and forth, sweating about going to the meeting. So I'd wait till the last minute, and I'd go to the meeting, and all the way to the meeting room. I'm anxious, but I'd reach for that door, and I would put on my mask, and I would open the door and go in, and hi everybody, hey, it's glad to see you. Yeah, how's it going? And become someone that I really wasn't. And all during my interaction with people, I'm sure I slipped up a lot that people that were around me a lot could see. But for the most part, I was able to create something in myself that I thought they expected. So it was like and another example is like when they would have roundtables. Roundtable needed a leader. I almost always volunteered to be a leader, even though that wasn't my personality, but I wanted to present that. And that was my mask, that I was that person. Another trait that fits me to some degree is sounds, the sensitivity to sounds. Now, I'll say it first, I don't really have too much problem with popping balloons or fireworks. Uh, I do have a little problem with, like, if I'm on a walk and there's a barking dog behind the fence that starts, that'll startle me, or someone honking a horn will startle me. And you say, Randy, why don't you get out of the street and maybe they won't honk the horn? But something like that would startle me. But my biggest thing with sounds is really the eating noises. I I can be in the other room, and I remember it started when I was a little kid. This isn't recent. I remember my dad uh, was what I thought was a noisy eater, and he could be at the kitchen table, and I was in another room, and it just drive me. I'd have to walk outside sometimes to hear the food being ground up and slurping, and and all of that has always bothered me, and all my life, and I never knew there was a reason for it. I never knew that was one of my autism's traits. I mean, it got so bad sometimes that it almost made me violent. Now, I'm not a violent person, but it would just make me want to pick up something and throw it or something, which is a really odd reaction. But I definitely know that that's one of my traits. Another trait, I'll say it's number 3, is eye contact. Now, I'm a little sneaky on that because if I am meeting someone or starting a starting a conversation, I can have eye contact with them, but I'll soon start to drift, and I'm aware of it. And my eyes are going left and right, and then I'll come back to them because I know I'm supposed to, and I'll zero in them, and then I start rotating. So I know that that is an issue with me. Number 4 is social awkwardness. Now here I've been in career where I was supposed to be really socially aware, and I was, but there were certain traits on my part that I really didn't feel like I could control. And I could tell that people saw that and that they'd tilt their head a little bit and say he's a little strange. And so I've always known that. I don't have all of the cues of social awkwardness, um, but but I know that I do have some. One of my biggest problems is interrupting. If I have something to say, I'll just say it, in the middle of a conversation. But even worse, if other people are having a conversation. My biggest example of this was I was in a meeting once, and the CEO of the company was talking to one of the vice presidents over in a corner, probably something really serious. I had something to say, and nothing was going to get in my way. So I walk over and I just interrupt them and start talking to the vice president. And I could, as I remember it leaving, they had a pretty startled look on their face that I just did that. So, but that's pretty normal for me. Number 5, it goes along with that a little bit, and that's my difficulty with impulse control. And when it comes to awkwardness, I mean, social situations, my biggest one is, and I've had it for as long as I can remember, is that I will have something form in my brain that comes down to my mouth that the other part of my brain says, "Don't do it. Don't do it, Randy." And it comes down and it gets closer. "Randy, don't say that. Randy, that's not appropriate. Don't say it." And it comes out. And then I said, "I told you not to say it." I've tried to work on that, and I think I'm getting better because I know that voice when it comes down and starts to get to my mouth, and I've been able to stop it some. But that's a very interesting trait of mine. I say interesting because I don't know why I do it, but now I think I do. Um, Another number, was it 6, is remembering detailed information and memories. Now, I in no way have an eidetic memory because I can't remember things I just saw and every little bit. I can't tell you, what day of the week Lincoln was shot on or anything like that. But I do have the ability to, especially with dates, like going forward. In business, we always went to like day planner meetings, got new day planners or Franklin Covey planners. I never used them because I seem to have the ability to remember. Oh yes, next Thursday at 3 p.m. I have a meeting with George, or oh yeah, next in 2 weeks on Thursday we've got a doctor's appointment. I just was usually able to remember those. So I think that has part to do with it. Um, Number 7 is, I think a lot of times on the spectrum, people have really detailed interest in one area like their whole life. Like they might have an interest in trains or dinosaurs or um, computers or stuff like that. And I haven't had that, but I do have interest in detailed things that other people don't seem to be interested in. For example, well, when I'm growing up, my favorite books as a kid was the Almanac and the Guinness Book of World Records because I was just so intrigued by who has the highest wheat consumption in the world, or what country makes the most cars, things like that. And I could go over those almanacs over and over again and just really love that. Or in the Guinness Book of World Records, who the twins were that weighed the most on their motorcycles. That had kept looking at the picture, but I was always interested in that. And even today, my interests are such that most people don't care. So I like weather, and I can't tell you the number of times that my wife says, now tell me again what that means about humidity and dew point and why they're tied in, and because I would start talking about it. I also had a app on my phone that we live in the flight path of an airport, and the app on my phone would show where all these planes were coming in from and what kind of plane and everything. And at parties, I would be going around with my phone. Hey, look, see that plane? It's going to Frankfurt from Los Angeles, and I could see it on their faces. They really didn't care, but I just love those details. So I know that that's one of my traits. Now, those are the 7 traits. I'm going to give you a bonus. And this bonus trait, I'm not sure whether to put it in the trait that I have or the trait that I don't have, but I just want to give it to you. Most people on the, I won't say most, but one of the traits on the spectrum is a good sense of right and wrong, and also a good moral compass that comes along with that. Well, I do have that. I feel like I know what's right and wrong, and everybody should be doing it. And my way is the right way, and everybody else should be doing it. But in contrast to that, I also am a rule breaker. If the rules don't make sense to me, I don't see the need to follow them. For example, if I'm driving at night, I come to a stoplight, I look both ways, there's no cars coming, there's no car behind me, I don't see any car over there, I'll run the light. I'll drive on through it because that rule doesn't make sense to me. So I won't follow it. So those are just 7.5 things that I find as traits that help put me on the autism spectrum, that make me neurodivergent, but that's certainly not all of them. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do another video and bring up more, because I want, hopefully, that you say, oh yeah, that's me, or oh yeah, I'm kind of like that, and then that motivates you to go find out for yourself. But like I said, I'm not here to diagnose you. I just want to share this with you, and if you're interested in it, that's great, and hopefully you'll like my videos, and then we can share more. So I'll see you in the future, and we'll see you in the next video.